Go live. Hello, everybody. Uncle Vigilante here, Uncle V. It is Friday. This is Epic Cash Live, my favorite time of the week, as you know. Let's make sure I'm not going to get blown out by it. Nope, we're good. Sorry that I always have to do that at the beginning, but sometimes when it pops up on YouTube, it gets really, really loud and annoying. So, look, I titled this, Epic is Anti-Fragile Crypto CORK. And let me just give you a little bit of context on that. As you all know, many of you know, my father passed away, and I just returned back from the memorial and funeral. Thank you all in the community for your amazing support. Both the memorial and the funeral, they were great and very closing for me personally. But my Aunt Betty, she got up at the memorial and she said, "This is how I would analyze Tom's life. And that is, he's made of cork." And what she meant by that, and she explained it, is that due to life circumstances and just swimming upstream with headwinds, Max, I can hear you rustling in the background. Anybody that pushed my dad down, after a while, they would get kind of tired. And if they didn't keep their hands down there trying to drown him, he would just pop up like cork. And she said that happened all his life long. And there are lots of examples why. And so that just made me think about everything that we here in the Epic community have been through over the last, 2 years for me now, right? That's it feels like it much longer, in many ways feels shorter, but I know Max and Yoga, who's on the line, they have been here, from the beginning. And so they have even more stories of Epic being held down, but ultimately popping up like a cork. So we're going to talk about how we're anti-fragile crypto CORK, but I just like that. And I hope you do too. I can visualize it. Matter of fact, when I got home last night, my wife was having a bottle of wine and there was the cork there. And so I just put in magic marker, Dad. And I'm just going to put that in a special place to always remind me of that. One day I'm going to take a cork and I'm going to put Epic on it. I think I'll put it next to Dad, as a matter of fact. So look, we have a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk, I'm just going to jump right in. Max Freeman, welcome to the show. Would love for you to be able to talk about Uptrend Agency, and people aren't going to know what the heck that is.
Yeah, but they will know what Yahoo News are with a monthly reach of 240 million, Yahoo Finance with another 240 million, Market Watch with 70 million, Yahoo Money 2.4 million, and then within crypto, Bitcoinists 1.8 million, Publish 0x 1.7 million, News BTC 800,000, Crypto News 500K, and then 7 more, including Crypto Mode, CoinDo, CoinRise, CoinSpeaker, and Crypto Gazette. I'm working with our writers. We call it exegetes and hierophants. Google that. It's a thing. And we are writing 16 articles. Technically, they're press releases, but as long as they follow the editorial guidelines, they can be, essentially promo articles for us. So we were able to successfully crowdfund $6,000 for a package deal with Uptrend Agency to get different articles written on those different topics. And so specifically,
I'd like to just insert and to be able to tell the community, we had talked about doing another community raise for that, but you guys were all so awesome for the crypto coin show. Dark Star, I'm having a brain fart. It's Ashton's, what is it in crypto coin?
That's correct. Crypto coin show. Yep. And okay. we have that episode featuring Epic with Max, should be posted any day now. So I'll follow up with Ashton as well, but I'm really excited about that.
And can you do us a favor and just take the lead on that? And when it comes out, just spray it all over the usual suspects of Telegram.
Most definitely. Absolutely.
I can't wait. I mean, so when you guys watch that interview, you know who you are. You're the ones who supported. Thank you with all my heart, because you made that happen. And we're going to be able to have the fruits of that generosity from you. And I just want to talk about Uptrend Agency. Instead of going back to the community and creating fundraising fatigue, there was just a group of some larger holders who just decided to say, you know what, let's don't go to the community. We got this. So we did it. It's funded. And now, Max, tell us what everyone should expect.
Yeah, so we are writing 16 articles on the following topics. Number one is node coverage. So we're in 126 countries, 2,250 cities, and we will have all the rest of the countries on Earth by the end of quarter two, if not sooner. I'm confident in making that commitment. Epic Pay is the best mobile wallet on the market, bar none. And that includes market leader for the past 5 years, MetaMask. So that's saying something. Nothing but rave reviews. If you haven't downloaded Epic Pay, you definitely need to. Also, by Q2, if not Q1, all the different wallets will talk to each other. So no more like re-importing seeds between GUI and how do I do this and that. It'll all become much easier. Another thing that's coming is in-wallet swaps for both other crypto through Change Now and fiat through a service called SwipeLux. So you'll be able to whip out your credit and debit card and buy Epic through the app. So we're a couple months away from that. Number three is polyphasic proof of work and how special that is. Next is quantum and ASIC resistance. Number five is our community structure of how we operate. And that leads into regulatory compatibility, how we are uniquely immune to the wrath of governments that are looking to use things like securities law and proof of work mining bans and other shenanigans to prevent people from exercising their economic freedom. 7 is scalability, micropayments, throughput, and speed. 8 is privacy features, so how we compare to, say, Mimblewimble on a second layer, ZK snarks, both optional in the case of Zcash and always on in the case of a pirate chain, as an example, or Monero, of course. Number 9 is cut through and how that saves data storage space. Our chain is under 4 gigabytes versus 450 for BTC, which means you can sync a node in 3 days. Next month, it'll be 30 minutes versus 3 weeks for BTC or 3 months for Ethereum, not joking. Number 11 is borderlessness, how essentially you can't geofence and put walls around people with our tech. Number 12 is what it takes to establish a node. There was an article in Nigeria recently on Bitcoin Magazine about how great it is that if you spend $300 to $700, you can set up your own node. Well, great. Why would you even do that? Ours, you just install a program on your computer and soon on your phone, and boom, you've got a node. 13 is the transaction flow process. The interactive nature of Mimblewimble means that you can't lose coins by sending to a wrong address. You can also cancel transactions midstream, and you can do things like sending transactions by USB stick, not even touching the network, or emojis. 14 is ESG, environmental, social, and governance. A lot of that is, World Economic Forum BS type stuff, but it is a theme that people care about, and we do have something genuine to add to that conversation, so we will. 15 is future proofing, and 16 is the value overflow incident as a litmus test of who we are and what we are, and what we're trying to do here, drawing a parallel between how in 2010 BTC minted 184 billion coins and they decided to fix it and roll back, whereas Ethereum said we're going to use this as an opportunity to rewrite the rules of the game and punish the hacker and make some other changes while we're at it. We said no, we're going to honor the promise that we made in the white paper. 21 million, it is what it is. We're going to do it the Bitcoin way. So those are the 16 articles.
Amazing.
And they'll be reaching hundreds of millions of people, and it's already funded. Thank you for those of you who donated. We still do need about 5,000 Epic. If anybody's feeling flush, get with McMurphy. I'm confident some of the other guys that haven't gotten back to me yet will do so, but we can reduce that uncertainty. We're working on that right now. So the sooner we get that over the hump and get that money in hand, the sooner we can get that going, possibly as early as 10 days from now. Yeah, go ahead.
And by the way, if the first question I asked, because a small group of us are donating to be able to make this happen, was we're donating Epic, but is there some way, somehow, we can do something over the counter with someone? Because these guys were adamant, and you know what? It's such a huge opportunity, and they're so large. It's like at this point in time, their rules, but they would only take BTC, Ethereum,
and stables and fiat.
and fiat.
Yeah, and that won't always be the case. That's just how it is right now.
And it's this first, because they have several buckets that we can take this relationship. So this is the first bucket where we're going to be playing with each other. So we became flexible there. But one in our group stepped up and said, I can do OTC once you have enough Epic raised. So it's not going to impact the price of Epic for us to have to convert it to BTC. So that's great news, everybody, because that was my concern. I'm like, this is great, but boy, everybody's going to be bummed when we go down 10 cents when we sell all the Epic. So that won't happen. All right, well, that takes us into Coin Bureau. Coin Bureau has 2.2 million subscribers, and they are not pay for play at all. They just are based on your merit and engaging you. They decide whether to move forward. Max, you want to talk a little bit about Coin Bureau and what's happening there?
Yeah, so we've been talking with the gentleman that runs their website, Taylor McCracken, for a number of months now. I don't recall exactly how long, more than a month, less than a year, something like that. And as he's invested the time to do deep research on our project, he's probably spent, I don't know, what do you think, Dark Star, 12 hours researching something like that, probably hundreds of messages back and forth in there. He did enough homework to get to the point where he's like, hey, wow, this thing is amazing. My only question is how I can get more Epic. And I do know he's actively a dollar cost averaging, which is a great sign. And so he said, look, I'm gonna put out I'm gonna tweak some existing articles to mention you. Number one, I'm going to create new articles mentioning you. We're actually working with him. Our Writers Guild is helping him. We're talking about censorship resistance and regulatory compatibility and privacy and other things that he's hot to educate his audience about. So we're going to start getting covered in the natural course of their editorializing on their website. But the big win is getting the star of the show's direct participation. His name is Guy Turner. And so I've been chatting with him directly for the past few days, better part of a week or so. He's a busy guy and I don't want to overwhelm him, but there's active engagement. And what we're doing there is he's going to come on the DNA of Bitcoin podcast. And so, right now in his mind, Bitcoin means orange coin good, laser eyed, hodl and number go up, and then you sell it for more dollars, BTC. But what I know is that once he knows what Taylor knows, that he'll probably agree with us that Epic is more Bitcoin than BTC. And so I'm not saying this will happen, but wouldn't it be great if he and I had a frank conversation about how it is really Epic that best represents those values of peer-to-peer electronic cash?
I believe that will happen. And it was amazing when Taylor came into that specific group that was set up. It was amazing to watch the worm turn. It was just amazing. He asked really great questions. He arrived at his own conclusions, and he had enough humility to be able to just say, wow, I've had it wrong. And I want to read something that he's going to insert into one of his articles, but I loved his wording so much and this shows how darn smart this guy is, because he basically took what I would say is 2 years of my own coverage. If I could condense it into 2 paragraphs, it would sound a lot like this. So let me just read it. Okay. Phone's asking for Face ID. BS. Okay. Problem meets solutions. An amazing project utilizing the Mimblewimble protocol in its full capacity is Epic Cash. Epic aims to fulfill Satoshi's original vision of creating a pure, decentralized, trustless, peer-to-peer payment system. And thanks to Mimblewimble and proprietary technology, Epic Cash resolves Bitcoin's shortfalls regarding mining, centralization, privacy, scalability, and fungibility. The Epic Cash community has created not just what they consider to be a better version of Bitcoin, but are building an entire financial system from the ground up, looking to disrupt and replace the corrupt system we have today. You can learn more about this ambitious project with Epic Cash's Telegram lobby at t.me/Epic Cash. Taylor, that was just awesome. So thank you for that. And I hope you don't mind me sharing that with the community. But
yeah, and I actually also want to say Tillman's articles have been very useful.
Oh,
so
my
shout
God.
out to Tillman again.
Oh,
And so please support Tillman with his efforts by tipping him, sending him some love. So yeah, thanks, Tillman.
and by the way, I am further curating my list. And this is going to be the first live stream that my list that I'm curating is going to be in my show notes. So both Tillman's articles are going to be in there, and I may have another article of his that's lower down. But yeah, those are must reads. So good for you. So all right. Well, that's thank you, Max, on that. And we already covered Ashton, that he's going to be posting his interview that he had with you. Max, did the interview go well?
Just got to unmute. Yes, absolutely. It was wonderful. Can't wait to hear it. It was about 25, 30 minutes, something like that. And we covered a lot of ground. I had my little hourglass sand timers to make sure I didn't run too long.
Nice. And everybody, just understand what this is starting to mean for us, right? You're excited about Epic. You know more about Epic than your friends, families, colleagues, everything. Instead of you having to be the subject matter expert, the more of these things that we get, whether it's a Tillman article or an Ashton interview or an article that Taylor writes, or the DNA of Bitcoin podcast, when we release that the end of the year, first of the year, I can't remember what you said, but it's we can then point people to those and let them arrive at their own conclusion. I think 2023 is going to be a monster year for us. I think it's going to be a monster year. I could not be more excited. Yoga, we have you on the line, and it is that time of the year for Ethiopian princes or whatever to come out of the woodwork. But what we have dedicated ourselves to do, or challenged ourselves to do, is keep present of mind, that there are a bunch of scumbag MFers out there who are going to try to pick your pocket. So over to you, Yoga.
Howdy, folks. So just want to touch off a little bit on our favorite topic of security. As Uncle mentioned, something about the holidays brings out a unique slice of human detritus into our channels, and scams come in many forms. And fortunately, people have become more and more resilient to them. And we continue to inform. But just as our understanding and our vigilance evolves and improves, unfortunately, so do the approaches that hackers take, through social engineering. And the social attacks, they can come in many forms. I mean, they pretty much all come down to somebody pretending to be someone they're not. So one of the things you'll see is sometimes you get a direct message from one of us, somebody who's active in the community, asking you for Ethereum, for a flash loan, for a quick loan, like, hey man, this is Yoga Dude, or this is Uncle Lee, or this is, Max Freeman, and hey, do you have a couple of, 20, 30,000 of Ethereum laying around? And,
I'll pay it back in 2 hours.
You get a flash loan kind of or like they're like stuck somewhere and they need like in Mexican prison or something like that, and they need to pay the guard, of course, in crypto. Some of the attacks they're pretty unsophisticated, but some of them are pretty damn good. And just keep in mind that none of us would ever like reach out to you in direct message and ask you for money. Okay, this is just not like ever. Okay, so don't fall for that. Okay, especially one other thing, if you ever talk to one of us before, in direct message, and a new person reaches out to you and there's no history there, that's a huge red flag, because that's pretty much guaranteed that it's not one of us.
Yep.
And they would do like a really sneaky misspelling of a name or something like that, to get an ID on Telegram. But just forget it, like approach everything with just a really healthy degree of skepticism. I mean, fortunately, you're in privacy crypto business, so you really should be, if you're in this industry already, you should be approaching everything with a healthy degree of skepticism to begin with, okay? Think defensively. The other thing is, when you have a need, you become vulnerable. So people come to a group and they ask for tech support, they solicit some help, or they go invite group, for example, and they're like, they did a transfer and it's taking longer than they think it should, and if you go to these channels and even our internal channels, look, the scammers, they're all over the place. They're ubiquitous. Okay, they're everywhere. And they see somebody going, hey, I'm having a hard time, figuring out my wallet, or I'm having this or that. We have a couple of OGs who've been really amazing at providing help. But if somebody reaches out directly to you, okay, and asks you for your seed phrase, for your seed words, that's a red flag.
Yep.
You never need that information to do any kind of tech support.
Or if they send you to a website.
I've got a list here, Uncle. I'm going down the list.
Great.
So first of all, seed words, okay? Do not ever share them, okay? We beat that one. And by the way, not just for Epic or for your Vite wallet, because you also have seed words there, okay? There's just never ever a reason, no exceptions, for anybody to know them, okay? The other thing, if people will think, well, maybe you're sophisticated enough not to send them your seed words, they might ask you, well, I need to diagnose your system. I need some data from you, okay? So send me your wallet data folder, for example, okay? That's a huge, no, you never ever need that information, okay? So again, don't hand that off to people, okay? And as Uncle mentioned, if they send you some dodgy link, and actually the link could actually look pretty legit, but what our, epic.tech, if it's not epic.tech, and if it's not like an Apple, app store or something like that, don't download stuff from strangers. Don't click on strange links from strangers. Because the thing that can happen at that point is people can breach your system, okay? They can install a virus, and it can lock up your system if it's like a ransomware, and it'll just encrypt your stuff, and it'll force you to pay them, okay? That's one vector of attack. Another vector of attack is they'll backdoor your system to take control over your system. You're not even going to know this, okay? But it's like somebody else sitting in your chair behind your PC in front of your monitor, okay, with full access to your system, okay? It's a pretty horrible place to be in, okay? And they're just keyloggers also. Keylogger is just a program that records your keystrokes, so they'll record your login information, they'll record your password information, which is, by the way, if you're not using two-level authentication when you're transacting with your bank or exchange, whatever, you really should be. So there's all these different ways people try to get in, okay? And just stay vigilant and focused, and again, question people that that are coming at you with if something seems odd, it probably is.
What's that background noise? Is there
I don't know.
Oh, it sounds like someone's revving an engine.
Yeah, maybe somebody's oh yeah, you know what? I think that's what it is. Somebody is
okay.
Doing some. Anyway, that's kind of the short of it. Okay, so look, we keep getting better at identifying these threats. We keep getting better at educating people, but each one of us is the weakest link when it comes to it. The attacker has to convince us, and just don't let yourself be convinced, so then you don't have to deal with regrets and financial damage.
That's right.
We get stronger, we get smarter, we get more organized. We are, as Uncle mentioned at the beginning, we are anti-fragile. I mean, we are getting better at protecting ourselves, and that's sort of the ethos of Epic, is to be anti-fragile in the face of all adversity. All we do is we keep evolving. Our tech keeps getting better, and we're just getting harder and harder and harder to come at.
And I just want to let you know that let's just say I'm talking to a guy right now. Okay, I know you're a nice, generous, good-looking guy, right? But when you see somebody in your Telegram chat DM you that's a really good-looking girl and all she says is hi or hello, don't even bother opening it up. Just auto delete that. Those are bots. And Yoga, you want to comment on that? Because we talked about it before the show, is that they're looking for the naivest of naive. Because I asked Yoga, I'm like, why don't they get more creative than that? Jesus, it's just
they do it on purpose. They really do it on purpose. They set the bar low to kind of trap the most trusting people. It's kind of like the old Nigerian prince scam. Like from 2 decades ago. You get an email on your Yahoo or your America Online or whatever, and it's some poor fallen prince from some part of Africa, and who's fallen on hard luck, and he's saying like he needs to transfer his money, and he can't transfer it within his country, and he needs to transfer it to you, millions and millions of dollars, of course, and all he needs from you is like some small money, to enable the account creation. Okay, and people like think, oh my God, I'm gonna get millions of dollars. Of course, I'm gonna send them like $300, Western Union, that stuff, whatever. And it sounds like in retrospect, it just sounds so stupid. But the thing is, they attack thousands of people, okay, and they get 99.999% rejection. But it's the remainder of that, the people that fall for that monetize their operations. So just don't be part of that, part of that group. That's all.
Right. And special shout out, speaking of Epic CORK, to Epic_Hodler, who has done an amazing job with Twitter Spaces and Let's Talk Epic podcasts. And we do not know why, but his account was banned, and I believe I just read this morning was permabanned. And so no mention as to why or anything, but he is going to pop back up like an Epic CORK. So stay tuned. I'll be the first to share with you and in the chats where he will be, but the show will go on. So somehow, some way, there will be a Twitter Spaces at 2 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. Again, they're not keeping us down.
Absolutely. Look, it takes a couple of minutes to recreate an account, okay? And we advertise it within our Telegram groups, so we have no problem bouncing back. They can come at us, okay? But we're unkillable.
I was gonna say something, but I won't, because it has to do with something that's unflushable, and we're the unflushables, man. Okay, Max, come on in, baby, come on in. I want you to give us an update on mobile wallets.
Oh wow, yeah. So Epic Pay is coming along awesome. I don't know exactly how many. I don't. That reminds me, I probably should ask Diego for the analytics, but we gotta have a couple hundred downloads at least already. I've been doing giveaways on Facebook and Telegram and all kinds of different places, just saying, hey, here's the links. If you download the app and post your wallet address, I'll send you a coin. Let me know what you think, any bugs, so on and so forth. And so it's been nothing but rave reviews. We've had a couple minor teething issues here and there, but because Epic Pay is based on the Stack wallet underpinnings, it's essentially just a streamlined version of the Stack experience. So it's lighter, it's faster, it's focused only on our stuff because it doesn't have to deal with the other coins and everything related to their needs that are not specific to ours. I've had probably a dozen people now say this is by far the best app in the entire crypto market, bar none.
Including Taylor from Coin Bureau.
Yeah. People who know the difference between a 1982 Chateau Lafite and a box of Giulio Gallo at the supermarket type of wine. So not just that, but the standard we set, if you remember, God, we got a lot of flack over the years. Oh, your wallet's never coming, you scammers. When we were talking about, hey, we benchmarked 26 different banking and finance apps, not just within crypto, but anything related to the movement of money, to make sure that it's the best in the market, the speed, the usability, the ease of friendliness, how intuitive it is, how logical it is. One of my favorite Steve Jobs quotes is that it's hard to make something that's easy to use, and it's easy to make something that's hard to use. And this stuff has just been way too complicated for the average person. So I've tested it with people in their 50s, in their 60s, in their 70s, and I haven't had anybody come back and go, how do I do this?
You tested it with my boss, Rich. What did he say?
Yeah, he said this is the level of quality that is required to go mass market. Bravo. So if you've used Cash App or Venmo, this will be a very similar experience, and that's what that's what we targeted. So we're very proud of the app. Go out there, scream.
Yeah, on Epic Pay, there's a buy and sell. Can you please just give insight to that? Because you can't buy and sell on the app yet, but they're there.
Coming.
Yeah,
they're
there.
So what's coming is you'll be able to, let's say you want to swap from BTC. Okay, swap BTC. You have $100 worth. This is how many Epic you get. Boom, send your BTC here, and when it confirms, you'll get the Epic back in your wallet. Literally that simple. So BTC, Ether, stable coins, probably Stellar, and then also fiat conversion as well. So not all of this will come in at once, and to make it simple over the hood, it gets really complicated under the hood. But imagine being able to buy with fiat, credit and debit, and also if you want to buy gift cards. So let's say you want to end up with Uber Eats credit, or take a flight or something. That's probably more Q2 for that type of stuff. But essentially,
can I insert something into the universe right now? Just kind of a wish is, it would be cool, because I don't think there'd be anybody out there doing this, is if, you know how you can auto connect just different things to your bank account. And if you could set it up to where every 2 weeks, Epic Pay would pull $100, which is basically dollar cost averaging, set it and forget it. That would be pretty cool, but I'm just throwing it out.
That's this one step ahead of you. That's the Freeman Express Snowball Savings Plan. You will have to have a Freeman Express account, and you will have to KYC. Anything involving fiat, there's no way around it.
Yes.
And increasingly with surveillance ledgers like the ones I mentioned before is coming. So the fact that the basis of our experience is non-KYC, and we can enable people to opt into that rather than starting with the KYC, and then having people go, oh, how do I get outside of this enclosure as I'm here on the pasture eating my grass, looking at the abattoir, wondering if I'm going to end up being walked in there one day. That's a major competitive differentiator. So essentially what we've got is a set of very powerful primitives to reconstruct into tasty recipes to make value be able to exchange between one form and another.
Epic Pay is not just going to include Epic, it is going to include every token or coin associated with our growing ecosystem, correct?
Yep. So ECR will be in there. Obviously EUSD, E1, EMPL, basically everything that we're doing will just slot in there. And really the magic is in the seamless conversions between stuff. So dreaming a little bit, and I can't put specific timelines on this, but what has been in development a long time and what will be realized into fruition in time. And I've noticed that there's a trend toward things being faster rather than taking longer, which is great. We've kind of reached an inflection point on a number of areas. And so imagine that you have epicpay.me/Uncle V. And if somebody wants to send you a payment, maybe they want to send you USD USDC on Tron, and you don't want USDC on Tron. You want to have EUSD on Binance Smart Chain. So you'll be able to have a setting right there in your wallet where anybody can pay you anything they want, and it'll instantly convert into whatever you want. Every coin under the sun.
That blows my mind.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
I'm going to read one thing again before I segue into my next question for your Max. And again, this is what Taylor had written. And it says that the Epic Cash community has created not just what they consider to be a better version of Bitcoin, but are building an entire financial system from the ground up, looking to disrupt and replace the corrupt system we have today. The wallet that we are creating, I'm going to let you in here, Max. The wallet that we are creating is going to ultimately include everything needed to be able to be this alternative financial system. So you talk about vision. This is vision that is already being operationalized. But why do you want to be in our version, our monetary system? Max, CBDCs aren't just, are they? Will you please talk about, how they're doing a hashtag CBDC LFG? I mean, it's in our face.
Yeah. So it's amazing that something so momentous didn't get more coverage. It's just on a handful of random websites that put it out on page 17, buried under, the stories of Britney Spears' latest hairstyle. If it were a physical magazine, that's where it would be. Online, obviously, you can find it. But the 12 largest banks in America started rolling out a CBDC pilot in actual practice, in production. People are using it right now, about a month ago. So the way that's likely to work is, let's say you're a retiree receiving Social Security, or you're somebody low income on some type of government assistance. About half the U.S. population relies directly on the state for its support in various forms. That's kind of a metastatic cancer process that has unfolded over the past really 60 years, since Johnson's Great Society, or even back further to the Great Depression. And so let's say you're receiving largesse from your fellow man through the state apparatus. Okay, well now, instead of getting a check mailed to your account, or getting a little swipey card that you can take to buy at the grocery store using EBT, now here's how you're going to get your money. I mean, if you're on the receiving end of that, what are you really going to do? Or let's say you're a corporation receiving stimulus, or bailouts, or pork, or anything like that. So imagine you're a horse, and at first the sugar cube and the carrot comes in. This is yummy. And then, oh, what do you know? There's a bit in my mouth, and now there's a harness on my head, and now I can't really go anywhere. What that's going to look like is, over the course of next year and the years to come, there will be spending restrictions. You can't spend your money on what you want. You can only spend it on what they let you spend it on. So if you remember with the stimulus in 2020, the COVID stuff, there was talk of, okay, well, we should make this expire. You have to spend it within a certain amount of time, or it expires. That's actually how Chinese money has worked for the past couple of years. And Europe and other totalitarian places are really showing the path on that. So we're going from an environment where money exists as a neutral tool, where you can spend it on whatever you want, to something that is restricted in use. Like when I go to a video game arcade and I buy tokens, I can only use them at that arcade. I can't go next door to the grocery store using those tokens that I just converted my $20 into a pile of coins. I've lost the fungibility and convertibility of that value. That is what's happening to everyone's money. And so what I would ask people to consider is, what is the value of your wealth that you hold inside such a system where someone else can decide what you do with it, versus being able to do whatever you want with it? You can always go and buy those car wash tokens if you need them, like obviously to pay taxes. I don't think governments are going to start accepting our currency anytime soon, or maybe they will, but that's traditionally been a key way to drive demand for fiat currency, is that you have to pay your taxes and your duties and your imposts in it. You can always just go buy however many you need. Just like when I go to Mexico, I buy pesos using my native currency, only as much as I need. And then when I leave, I convert the change back. I think increasingly that's what people will do. I don't know what percentage of our community operates the way that many those of us have been here longest do, which is to hold, the bulk of your wealth in Epic and only dip into the other systems as you need to. But I think increasingly that's the optimal strategy for people. When we were under a penny, I said, I can see $1,000 Epic, and that sounded crazy. Well, now I'm putting that same thing out there. I can see $1 million Epic. I don't know when, but I'm telling you right now, one of these coins will be $1 million in time.
And you've also gone on record privately that you don't know if BTC's going to even see the end of 2025, which makes people just kind of shake their heads. But
yeah, it's just too crazy. But here's the thing. So 2024 sees a halving from 840 coins to 420 coins a day. It's already uneconomical as a transaction layer. Average fee is around $2, but the average transaction is $1 million on that network. So even at its current level of 17,000, I could see tens of dollars being the average transaction fee, just because each of those 350,000 transactions per day that the network does is representing like maybe 10 or 50 or 100 times that off-chain transactions on the books of Binance and Wall Street, like rehypothecation and derivatives and swaps type agreements. So really, increasingly, you kind of don't even need the chain anymore, and it's getting increasingly difficult to maintain. So the current math is the next generation of chips. I don't know if it's 7 nanometer or maybe 5 nanometer now. I know 3 is on the horizon. Every 2 years, you need to dump in another $50 million to create the wafers to do the ASICs, and then you need billions of dollars in investment. The last boom up to, or the last cycle up to 69,000 was driven by companies like CORK that just got a restructuring for $72 million. Other mining companies have been completely wiped out. What those guys were doing using cheap loans from the banksters, the funny money printer, was, okay, we're gonna get cheap equity capital from the market. We're going to invest in mining capacity by buying ASICs. We're going to pump up our stock, and then we're going to hold BTC on our balance sheet, and we're never going to sell it. And then we're going to take more loans against that BTC, and we're going to go buy more mining equipment and pump up our stock even more. And so that was great on the way up, but now as it's unwinding, Core Scientific was essentially producing coins that were $50,000, $60,000, taking leverage against those using the Michael Saylor playbook. Isn't he a genius? Or El Salvador, as an example, Bukele day trading on his phone. And now they're getting wiped out because essentially they took margin positions thinking that it would go to 100,000 or more. And so it's very vulnerable in terms of the economic structure that underpins the chain security itself, because all of BTC could be shut down at a single command from the Chinese Communist Party. That's the dirty little secret, or one of them, of Bitcoin Core. So if you've got this very vulnerable mining infrastructure, without mining, the chain can't continue. In our case, that chain is mined on commodity equipment. Nobody needs to buy anything to get that to run. But if the market doesn't believe that BTC will keep going up in price, who's going to pay tens and hundreds of millions and billions of dollars to reinvest in the next cycle of CapEx? At $17,000, BTC is trading below 19,000, which was 19,900, I think, was its all-time high in December 2017. So we're already 20% below the all-time high 5 years later. Both both Saifedean and Robert Breedlove on the DNA of Bitcoin podcast, I said, your entire thesis depends on the inevitability of BTC going up in price to hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yes. What happens if 5 years from now, BTC is trading lower than today? And both of them didn't miss a beat. They said, I think it's a failure and we probably don't exist anymore. So, well, okay, that's happening unless you believe in a rocketing bull market. And
Max is getting a phone call right now.
sorry, spam telemarketer phone calls. Luckily, it doesn't happen nearly as much as it used to.
Doesn't.
In the early days, that
It
was
does.
like three times a week. Yeah, so I think it's increasingly fragile. I think it's a house divided. If we didn't exist, maybe the scam could continue for a while longer. And I do believe it is a scam at this point. That's the best word for it. Then it might have a greater lease on life. But I think once people realize, oh my God, what just happened? There's no there. There's only marketing spin, aggressive sales tactics, and cynical people stealing from the credulous.
Yoga, I know we've gone over this before, but just because Max mentioned that communist China could shut down Bitcoin mining, can you tell us how that would happen?
Well, the fact that all ASICs are manufactured in China. In fact, it really doesn't matter if they're all manufactured in China, but enough silicon manufactured in China for these things, okay? And you cannot audit the hardwired code in the silicon, okay? We already know that ant miners check with a mothership, and this is something that's been talked about and then has been kind of buried, it's been talked about for about 5 years now, that ASIC miners operate by permission. In other words, they actually check with the mothership to see if they're allowed to continue mining, okay? And if they receive a command from the manufacturer, and the manufacturer is located in China under the control of the Chinese government, all manufacturing that's in China is under control of the Chinese government. That much should be pretty obvious, right, to everybody.
Yep.
So the simplest thing that can happen is your ASIC can get shut down. It can get bricked. One other thing they have the ability to do is flush your firmware remotely, okay, without your consensus. So bunch of other code, your ASIC could be modified, for example, to perform a 51% attack on the network, to start mining not on your behalf, but on the behalf of the manufacturer until you figure that out, and a bunch of other things in between. Essentially, it's a black box computer. It's not open source like we are. Now, and Bitcoin guys might jump out of the bushes and tell you, no, but Bitcoin mining software is open source. Well, the software is, but the platform that it operates on, it's like you're in a bus and you're a passenger in the bus. You're not the guy driving the bus. Okay, the guys driving the bus of ASICs are in China. Okay. And China decides to make mining illegal everywhere in the world, they can actually do that. And so much for decentralization, so much for security, so much for a really gigantic question: why isn't Bitcoin being investigated by the US government as something that is under control of full control of a foreign, potentially hostile entity? So there's a lot of questions that pop up, but the bottom line is it's vulnerable.
You know what, Yoga? I think I think we should flex our muscle a little bit with uptrend agency, and instead of getting 16 articles, get 17. I think what you just talked about would be a fascinating article to take a real deep dive in.
Well, it's been talked about before. And, I'm not setting a precedent here. It's just not getting enough visibility because, for whatever reason, there's enough interested parties not to really give this information too much.
Thus, Article 17.
Sure.
Enter Epic Cash. Problem meets solution. So, okay, thanks for that. Okay, gentlemen, I am looking at my notes here, and I've covered everything that I want to cover. So let me just open the floor to you all. I know that the Epic Hodler had he was wondering if the Epic Pay wallet is just a fork of Stack Wallet.
Yep, it is. And I answered that in the chat, but I'll answer it again here for those that aren't in the chat. Incidentally, if you're watching or listening, the chat is always lively and it's great to engage. So yes, the beauty of open source is that Epic Pay, as a derivative of the Stack Wallet, benefits from all of the work that went into that, and we don't have to reinvent the wheel. So I think there were probably a couple of hundred distinct bugs that had to be quashed in Stack, and that meant that all those didn't need to be found in the Epic Pay app. Also, we've got a list of 29 suggestions now, features for the 2.0 version that we'll get started to work on here, and will come out probably, let's say Q1 for sure, if not sooner. A lot of them are fairly small. So as always, we invest up front to have a strong structure to make the development go faster down the road.
That's great. That's great. And everybody in the chat, I'm just going to make my every once in a while apology. Sometimes I just get so into the interview here and speaking to the guests and the team members here, is that I don't pay a lot of attention to the chat. So that's my New Year's resolution.
Uncle, one thing I just want to add, since I made this whole statement about ASICs being not safe and not secure, I just want to answer the question before it gets asked from folks. Well, why is Epic not vulnerable to that? What makes us so different and special, right?
Great question.
It is the fact that our proof of work, first of all, our mining software and our core are in fact open source. Okay, so it could be audited, it could be looked at, it could be, and it has been, and it will be, and it will continue to be open source. But the fact that Epic is mined on personal computers, which have diverse manufacturers, diverse firmwares, diverse, and so on, and they don't have this level of outside control that can be executed on them. So there's strength in this level of diversity. There's a strength in this approach to mining that we've chosen, that Max and Todd Lewis have chosen, the multi-algorithmic mining approach that gives us this level of detachment from this centralized vulnerability attack vector. And that's kind of it in a nutshell. I mean, in that sense, we're pretty special. And also, as a side benefit of that, as a massive side benefit of that, one of my favorite things to talk about is we are mineable. There are 2 billion gaming PCs out there in the world. Okay, we are mineable as a passive income generator by all of those people. New York and other places are like shutting down, ASIC mining. Here you have your personal computer that can actually, if it's a gaming caliber computer, it can give you ability to actually earn Epic by mining it. And that's a powerful thing. And when people do that, it decentralizes us. It makes us, it creates more use cases for us. It creates more awareness that we exist, and it gets us one step closer to mass adoption, where Epic could actually be used as a medium exchange to conduct business without having to convert it to fiat or to Bitcoin or to something else. So the design of Epic makes it anti-fragile. The design of Epic gives it that potential growth vector and that truly egalitarian accessibility by everybody.
That's right. So there's a good question in the chat, Max. So let's say that let's kick the can down the road 6 months, and somebody comes back to Diego with a bug in the Stack wallet. Since we're a fork of that, when that bug is found and caught in Stack, does that automatically flow downstream to where it would be fixed within Epic Pay as well?
Yep, absolutely. And all the work that he's doing to support the other coins also goes to help us when we want to support those coins as well.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Man, lots to be excited about this Epic Cash Live Friday on the 16th. The 16th. Goodness gracious. I can't believe we're almost done with 2022. 2023 is going to be a monster, everyone. It's going to be a monster year for Epic Cash. So I'll just open it up if you guys have anything else to say. Go ahead.
I want to shout out to my friend Paul Cook, who runs a YouTube channel called Paul Cook Hidden History with 57,000 subscribers. He is putting a QR code with his Epic Pay address in his videos, starting maybe today, maybe this weekend. I'm helping him on that right now. And I agreed to match 1-for-1 the first 100 coins of donations that he gets. So if you think about that, every video that he does becomes essentially marketing and promotion for us, and also demonstrates the utility of our tech as a payment mechanism, in this case for content creators who are streaming to receive micropayments and route around censorship and control their own funding model. So if that works, and I think it will, then we'll have a template for other creators.
And the good news is when he puts that QR code up there, he only has to pay Epic Cash 30%. Right? Like PayPal and everyone. No.
Yeah, and if we don't like what he has to say, then we're going to ding his account $2,500 like PayPal. You know, there's a person in Norway that is facing 3 years in prison for expressing the controversial opinion that men cannot be pregnant.
Jeez, unbelievable.
Yeah, that's the world. That's the world we live in.
Can you check the chat? Mother Trucker says, Max, do you want to mention if people that people can send Mother Trucker a DM if they see a link that needs to be?
Yeah. So this is a great example. So right now we have 32 DAOs. Used to be 31. Now it's 32 because Mother Trucker had a great idea for an initiative called Freeman Fixers. So hashtag Freeman Fixers. She was going around our various websites and noticed that Bitmart was still on there, and some bad links and things that just, I mean, there's so much going on. It's easy to overlook things. And she's like, who do I talk to get this done? And so connected her with Sky King, who has access to the people that have the ability to actually go and update that stuff. And we're designing a process around it. So if you notice anything that needs to be fixed, like let's say you speak Bengali and you notice that the translation for cut through says, you know, monkey brains or something, send that to Mother Trucker. She'll get it fixed. And then also, as ECR rolls out, the people that participate in that, we're going to use that to distribute out who gets what in ECR through the proof of contribution process. So thank you for that.
Well, why don't you take us out with ECR update?
Yeah. So
Matt, sorry to interrupt you guys. Before we continue, we're going to do the EIOU
right.
test. Yep.
Yeah. Go ahead. Cover that. Then I'll talk about ECR.
All right, perfect. So in order to establish a formal procedure regarding the buyback of EIOU and you know, that our community members are holding, Epicenter DAO will be performing a test today, and that will consist of redeeming 10 EIOU for 25 Epic to each of the first 25 people that complete some simple steps. We'll post a link to the document so that people can follow it, but basically the first step is to DM me, L. McMurphy, on Telegram, and to paste your Epic 002 address on the wallet, followed by a message that says EIOU buyback. And step 2 would be to send 10 EIOU to the address that I have posted on the document. That's going to be in the link here. And step 3 will be just to wait for the 25 Epic to arrive. So this is going to be, you know, just like, you know, a small test run about how the process would be for when we redeem future EIOUs. So right now it'll be only available to the first 25 people who follow those steps on the, you know, on the document. that I'm going to link in all the groups.
And educate us, why would people even have EIOU?
Well, because for any time that someone has, supported an initiative, whether it's, development, app development, or any, listing or any marketing that the DAO supports, then for each dollar that they've donated, they've gotten a bonus in EIOU. So, right now the redemption will be in exchange for Epic. So for 10 EIOUs that you send, you'll get 25 Epic.
So because I've said it before, when we were listing on Bitmart, we needed $50,000, right? And there were two of us, myself and Mr. P, who each provided 25,000, and we got 25,000 EIOUs back in return. So when this is finally operationalized, and we have the, I guess what the liquidity max, I don't know what you would call it within the DAO to be able to buy those back, then I would get what for that 25,000? Is there a multiple of Epic? Is it?
No, you get $25,000 worth of Epic at the price of whenever that is.
$25,000
Yeah,
worth.
we're just doing this as a test for the logistics. And there's a lot of small holders that have little bits here and there. This takes it down from a large list to a slightly smaller list. I'm also just in discussions with our largest EIOU holder who got stuck holding the bag for I think about 150 grand during that. He's a bankster guy, and I asked him, hey, what do you think is fair in terms of like looking back? You've been a forced hold for over a year now. If this were a corporate restructuring for a paper company or something, what would be traditional here, and what would make you feel like you didn't have a bad taste in your mouth, you had a good experience, and you're pleasantly surprised that we didn't do you wrong, we took care of you. And so we're working it from both sides. If you look at it, the U.S. government is able to monetize its credit and the faith, and it's called full faith and credit. The people believe that they will get paid in the future, so they're willing to loan money up to 30 years at a very small interest rate because they have that faith. When we demonstrate to the world that we can be trusted, then we can also access credit markets with our good name, because if we've come through before, then people will trust us to come through again. So we access another funding channel to build a war chest. Ultimately, we need a huge pot of capital sitting in an automated market maker liquidity pool to support the Epic EUSD conversion. The more capital that's in there, the more money can slosh around and get in and out with low spreads. So that's how that all fits together.
Excellent. Okay. L. McMurphy, if you can send me that link too, I'll include that in my show notes.
All right.
Great. Or if you want to send me a link to wherever in Telegram, the instructions are your movie, but be happy to include.
Yeah, no, I'll point to it in the chat.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Okay.
And let me just give a quick update on where we are on ACR. So I'm increasingly confident that we can have that out in January. There's a ton of threads to pull together, but it's been not my exclusive focus, but certainly my primary focus. What we are doing is putting together a comprehensive, not white paper, but a white book. It'll probably end up being, if I had to guess, 200, 300, 400, 500 pages once we include all the different parts of it. So with something that massive, it needs to be more of a website than a single document. Even the last Google Doc that we had just got too overwhelming for people. So really communicating what is ECR, why do you want it, what can you do with it, all that good stuff. And then really we're off to the races. So we're getting very, very close on that. And then that unlocks a lot of things, because the way it'll work is if you have one Epic and some ECR, we don't know the exact number, but Epic plus ECR, just like sodium plus chlorine equals salt, you'll be able to make EUSD for yourself. So we're creating various demand use cases for ECR within our ecosystem.
Great, great. Oh, McMurphy, well, Max, you had mentioned that we're absolutely going to get this this uptrend agency funded regardless. But if there is anybody who still would like to be able to support that, I think we need about how many more Epic?
We need $2,000 or
about
however many
5,000
Epic that is,
Epic.
about 5,000 Epic, something like that. And
More or
dollars would
less.
actually be preferable because it doesn't move the
Yeah.
market. We'll take anything. So if you want to support any amount at all, reach out to McMurphy. The sooner we get that invoice paid, the sooner we can get slot booked for these different sites. And like I said, we're already working on the content anyway. Those 16 articles are already underway.
That's great. That's great. So awesome. This has been a great show, and I will be back on Tuesday evening, back with my weekly show with Ab, and then we'll have next Wednesday with Max, and it'll probably be just you, Max, and then next Friday we'll be here. We'll be here. We're back in the flow of things. We're back like a good rash. So everyone in the chat, thank you so much for being here always. And hope everybody has a great weekend. L. McMurphy, Dark Star, Max, Yoga, John was in here for a bit. Thank you guys. Really appreciate you making this show happen, because I couldn't do it without you. I'm just not smart enough. All right, everyone. Have a great